You're good at chemistry. Not just good, you're the kid who finished the AP exam in 40 minutes and spent the rest of the period balancing equations for fun. Your teacher pulls you aside after class senior year and tells you that you have a gift. You believe her, you get a full ride to state university. Chemistry major, you're going to work for a pharmaceutical company, maybe do research, maybe develop something that actually helps people. You've got a plan, you've got a future. Then your mom gets sick, the bills don't care about your future, the hospital doesn't care about your scholarship. You take out loans, you pick up extra shifts at the campus lab doing work study, you apply for every grant you can find. None of it is enough. You're watching your mother deteriorate in a facility that smells like industrial cleaner, and you are powerless. A guy you know from your organic chemistry lab, not a close friend, just a guy, corners you one afternoon. He's heard about your situation. He's heard you're the best in the department. He's got a proposition. You say no, obviously. You say no. You say no 3 more times over the next 2 weeks. Then the facility calls and tells you your mother's insurance has been dropped. You call the guy back. The first cook is in a double wide out past the county line. It belongs to someone's uncle. You don't ask whose. The setup is rough. It's dangerous. Every instinct you've built over 4 years of academic chemistry is screaming at you that this lab is a disaster waiting to happen. Improper ventilation, wrong glassware, the pseudoephedrine source is inconsistent. But you look at it and you see problems with solutions. You spend the first 3 hours reorganizing everything. You're not reckless. You're precise. That's the thing about meth. It doesn't care who you are or what you believe, but it absolutely rewards patience and punishes sloppiness. You know this. You are not sloppy. The first batch is clean, purer than anything these guys have seen. Your contact texts you afterward. Where have you been all my life? You get $4,000 cash in a paper bag. Your mother's facility gets paid. You tell yourself this is the last time. It is not the last time. Within 6 months, you've developed a reputation. Not by name, you're not stupid, but by product. People talk about the quality. They talk about the consistency. Your stuff doesn't put people in the ER. Your stuff doesn't have mystery chemicals because you cut corners on the reduction step. You take pride in this, which is the first sign that something has gone seriously wrong inside your head. You've started thinking like a manufacturer instead of like a person. You move up, the operation gets bigger. You're not cooking in someone's uncle's trailer anymore. You're in a warehouse with a generator, climate control, and real equipment. There's a supply chain. There are distribution people, security people, a lawyer on retainer you never actually meet. And there's a man everyone just calls the operator. He runs things. He found you. And the thing about men like the operator is that they are extraordinarily good at identifying talent and extraordinarily bad at letting it go. Your cut is now $40,000 a month. You tell yourself you'll stop at $300,000. That number becomes $500,000. That becomes when things calm down. Things do not calm down. The work consumes you. The chemistry of methamphetamine synthesis is legitimately complex. Precursor management, yield optimization, reducing impurities, it's a real technical challenge, and your brain, God help you, loves a real technical challenge. You start keeping encrypted notes on process improvements. You refine the reduction methodology. You solve a contamination problem that had been plaguing the operation for weeks and feel a rush that, if you're honest with yourself, rivals anything you've ever felt. That should terrify you. It does terrify you. You feel that terror, and then you go back to work. Meanwhile, the world outside the lab starts shrinking. You stop calling your college friends. They're in normal jobs now, normal lives, and every conversation is a minefield. What have you been up to? Are you still doing chemistry? You should come visit. You can't visit. You stop picking up the phone. Those friendships just quietly expire, like something left out too long. You change apartments twice in a year just as a precaution. You pay cash for everything you can. You develop habits that would look insane to a normal person. You memorize which cars belong on your street. You notice when something is different. You never discuss anything sensitive near a phone, even if it's powered off. You read about law enforcement surveillance techniques the way other people read news. You know what a trash pull is. You know what a confidential informant looks like. Or you think you do, which is worse. The DEA has a program. You learn about it later, but they've been mapping the network for almost 2 years before anything touches you. They work from the outside in. Distribution gets hit first, then mid-level. Arrests are made, people are flipped, and the circle gets smaller and smaller like a noose being drawn tight from a distance. You don't know any of this. You find out the way you find out about everything. Something feels wrong before you can explain why. One Tuesday, the operator doesn't check in at the usual time. By Wednesday morning, you've packed a bag. By Wednesday afternoon, you've done something you promised yourself you'd never do. You've called the one number you weren't supposed to call unless everything was on fire. Everything is on fire. There are 2 ways this ends, and you've always known it. You've known it since the second cook, when you stopped pretending it was temporary. The 2 ways are prison and not prison, and everything in the not prison category comes with its own flavor of destroyed. The agent who comes to talk to you is younger than you expected. She's professional. She puts a folder on the table between you and she opens it and you see photographs. Surveillance photos, financial records, a map with lines drawn across it, your operation diagrammed. She tells you what they have. She tells you what a cooperation agreement looks like. She tells you what the alternative looks like. 18 to 22 years, she says, is what the alternative looks like. You think about your mother. She's stable now. She's been stable for 2 years on the money you sent. She thinks you work in private research. She brags about you to the other women at her facility. You think about the guy from your organic chemistry lab. You think about the paper bag with the $4,000. You think about how you said no 4 times. You think about how good it felt to solve that contamination problem at 2 in the morning, alone in a warehouse, and how that feeling scares you more than anything in the folder. You take the deal. The cooperation takes 8 months. You're thorough. Of course you're thorough. You're always thorough. And the case that gets built on the back of your testimony is significant. People go away for a long time. The operator goes away for a very long time. You get 12 years reduced to 4 with credit for time served and good behavior. You do the time. You get out at 34. You have a record. You cannot work in any licensed chemistry field. You cannot cross certain borders. Your mother knows now. That conversation was the hardest thing you have ever done, and you once spent 72 hours troubleshooting a failed synthesis under threat of violence. You get a job at a hardware store. You're good at it, actually. People come in with problems and you figure out solutions. The pay is nothing. The days are quiet. Quiet, it turns out, is something you have to learn to want all over again. You're still learning.